Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. I've got 6 really cool Les Pauls to show you guys tonight, ranging from custom colors, unique wood choices, and just plain on awesome guitars. And we're going to start with this one, a 68 reissue made-to-measure custom in factory burst. Now, I've been put on the record a few times saying that factory burst is just one of my favorite burst finishes, because I'm not a guy that likes the regular cherry sunburst. I love the way that this one gets extra dark, and then the lemon is not too zesty. It's just nice and subdued. It matches perfectly with the binding, and I think this is the first time I've seen it used on a Les Paul custom. Now, back in the 80s, you can actually find a heritage cherry sunburst and a regular cherry sunburst, and this kind of resembles the heritage cherry version. But for being a 68 reissue, another thing that's fascinating about this is the chrome hardware. At first I thought it was the chrome that made this thing cool, because sometimes gold can be a bit too powerful on a finish like this, so it certainly at least made it stand out. But let's flip over to the backside now. You don't see this too often on a custom. They finished it just like a reissue would be finished in the factory burst. They just did the red aniline dyes, but they didn't go too crazy, so it doesn't look like we have a ton of binding bleed or anything like that. But it's got nice rounded wood grain back here. The headstock's pretty basic, and here's what your neck is looking like, stock with Grover tuners. So maybe not the most accurate 68 reissue in the world, since the bulk majority of those were black Les Paul customs with gold hardware and waffle back tuners. But this is a great looking modernized take on a 68 custom. How much is it? Kind of expensive, $6,600, whereas a regular ebony reissue one would only be $62. So you are paying a small premium, but you also have to remember this has a flame maple top, which makes it worth a premium. However, it could also be that this one's located in Germany and it's more of a conversion thing, so there's not too much of a premium put on this one. Next up, we have one from 2018. When I first saw this top, I was like, ooh, that's interesting. It almost has like that Koa-like vibe. A lot of times they'll have a very similar pattern running up the center. But then this one's still more of a maple color, and it's got all the flame patterns going on. But no, that's not a Koa top. It's not a maple top. It's actually called Heartwood, which I gotta say, looks pretty nice. Again, this is more of a modern day custom. Generally, customs don't get flame tops, in a traditional sense anyways. But this one also has the witch hat knobs. It looks like instead of the ABR1 bridge, though, we've got the Nashville style because it's just a regular custom. Or so I thought anyways when I first looked at this. So would I have shared this with you guys because of the nice top? Yeah, maybe. But what really shocked me is when I looked on the backside of this guitar. It was built like a Les Paul Axcess. So very similar to like the Rhino Les Paul or anything. You've got the comfort cut back here and you've got the apex head carve, but it doesn't have the Axcess heel. So that's strange to me. Judging by the stock photos that they have here, it might have came from Chicago Music Exchange initially. That is an interesting blending of an Axcess and a regular custom, except for you just didn't get the best part of an Axcess, but you got everything else. But in doing the belly cut right here, they couldn't bind the back of it. But you still have the 7-ply on the top, so it looks like a custom, but it won't feel like a custom in the back. I'm kind of curious if they thinned down the body at the same time. I can't quite tell from the seller's photos, but it doesn't look like it. But they called this a modern Les Paul custom. I was curious about the fretboard. They list it as striped ebony, so that just means you have some color streaks running through it. I was kind of curious if that would actually be like rosewood or something, just to make this thing even more freaky. But for me, I was actually impressed with the asking price on this one, only $5,200. For all the weird quirky specs you're getting in this thing, if you're buying a guitar of this caliber, that is not the most insane price I've ever seen. But apparently this was a small run done. It's the only one currently for sale, but previous ones have sold between $4,000 and $5,000. Here's another one from the Made to Measure custom program. I was so happy to see this. Rainbow Guitars, great job doing this. It's a regular black Les Paul custom, right? Except for we have chrome hardware. That always looks really good. You got that whole black-white thing going on. But look at your inlays on this one. They Super 400'd it out. So you could say it looks like a Les Paul Supreme. It's got 25 50th anniversary Les Paul DNA built within it. Or if you're a 90s Les Paul custom fan, there was a small run of those that we just recently unboxed, I think 2 unboxing episodes ago. That guitar is available if you're interested in purchasing it. But you can also get a brand new one right here that has all the inlays going up. I kind of wish they would have stopped it at the traditional spot on these Super 400s because they don't normally go all the way up. Because this just makes it look like a black Les Paul Supreme but without the carved back. But that was really sweet to see in a brand new Les Paul custom. Super 400 inlays are cool. Even though you just have some additional dashes instead of your normal custom blocks, it just makes it unique. And how much is it? $5,500, which is a $500 premium over a regular one. Now, when you look at it like that, I don't know if it's worth a $500 premium, but if you ever had to sell this thing on the used market, it would certainly draw a little bit more attention and be more unique than all the other black Les Paul customs out there. Next up, speaking of Koa top, look at this 2021 I found. Generally, the Koa top Les Pauls, some of them look good, some of them look a little bit too weird and out there. This one is just a perfect blend of unique wood grain, but not being too crazy and out there. This really reminds me of the Brazilian rosewood Les Paul customs that were done up in the mid-70s. You can check out this review and demo if you need to learn more about it. But looking at the description, they're referring to it as an R7. I think they mean B7 or BB7, so it's a 1957 reissue of a custom. Generally, these would have mahogany tops, so the Koa is the thing that makes this interesting, and the fact that we have a natural finish. But I love this shade of brown. It's just absolutely perfect. It works so well with the gold hardware because you've got like the caramelization of this and then that nice blinginess that matches the aged finish over the binding. It looks like you might even have a little bit of flamed figuring within this. Not a whole lot. It's more so just the wood grain, but that's just a great looker right there. But being a 57 reissue, that means we'll have the traditional ABR1 bridge on here, long neck tenon, all that good stuff, even the bonnet style knobs that have also been aged. Oh yeah, and who can forget the awesome Kluson style tuners on these things? I love the look of customs that have the plastic button tuners. And of course you get the historic style truss rod cover as well. And who doesn't love the look of waffle backs? As far as the back of the guitar, it's just your regular mahogany color. But that's definitely a cool one. I think I remember seeing these things like brand new around $8,500, and this seller is looking for $8,000. Yeah, here we go. Here's the shop that's doing those. Looks like Eddie's guitar. So like, here's one that's a little bit more exotic. It's got a lot of those patterns I was talking about earlier this episode. It's nice and exotic if that's what you're going for, but for some people that might be a bit too much. This one's a little bit more subdued, but I'm definitely preferring the one that we first saw here. But I know Eddie's has had a whole bunch of these things. I think at least 15 of them over the years. That just seems to be their thing, but this one is a 68 reissue. Looks like the only main difference on this one is they use the metal style tips. Because the top material is the same, normally a 68 would be a maple top, so that's not really that big of a difference for these things anymore. Next up, another one of these tie-dye Les Pauls showed up. So this one's from 2001, and this is the first time I think I've seen a good close-up of one of these things. So at first, I'm sure most people are like, bleh, ugly. Ugly Les Paul Studio with weird tie-dye stuff. Like, it works if you appreciate tie-dye. However, I really enjoy the back of this one. It's got a nice blending of colors. It's all over. Whereas the top, you kind of lose your tie-dye theme with the rosewood fretboard and not doing it on the headstock. But this one just encapsulates the whole thing. So I've seen a few of these around, but I've never seen one this close up. It looks like they actually did it very similar to how the George St. Pierre's one was done, where they actually put a cloth over top of it. You can check out this video to learn more about that particular run. I've got a cool paisley one in my personal collection. But these tie-dyes, it appears they did a very similar process on this, and that looks really good up close, especially this blue one. It reminds me of some blue jeans or something. Yeah, our hardware has some pitting, but I mean, you can always replace that. That's not that big of a deal. Seeing this one close up really helped me appreciate it just a little bit more, especially the back of the headstock. I love this. It reminds me of my snakeskin Firebird. Gibson's done a whole bunch of crazy stuff throughout the years, but it looks like we've got a nice gloss finish over top of this one. And I doubt that's actually a crack in the guitar. That's probably just like a split in the material underneath it. But that one is available at $3,000 plus $140 shipping. Maybe a bit more than I would want to pay, but you know, once again, a tie-dye lover might fall in love with that. We have an update from the demo shop. So do you guys remember seeing this one in my recap? It's the one that had the matching brown pickguard on the brown finish. Dan here actually purchased it and sent me some photos. It doesn't look anything like the stock photos. So what he's hypothesizing is they actually took a gold top and just sprayed over it a transparent brown. And it's kind of got an interesting result. Really reminds me of like brass, you know, like an old bell that's aged from sitting out in the rain and whatnot. The black plastics play a really cool role with that finish as well, and they did indeed finish over the pickguard, which was interesting to see. And to wrap up this episode, doesn't really fit within our category, but it is just a strangely colored Les Paul that you don't normally see, that is brand new, made to measure, and it's absolutely fantastic. Like, I've seen purple before on a Les Paul. They're normally custom orders of some sort, but I've never seen it like this. It is perfect. It's got that perfect dark shade and the light shade of purple, so it's not like hiding. Like my Purple Widows, sometimes those things got a little bit dark, but this one, you'll be able to see the purple color at all angles. Like, I've never noticed this before. It's reflecting the light just a little bit differently. Like, this side is darker and this one is just a slight shade brighter. It's kind of cool. I'm sure it's not that apparent in person. but this is one of those guitars that people will lust after. Left the factory without a pick guard because it's just such a beautiful quilt top. I don't know, guys. I guess now that I'm looking at it from far away, you can still see the color difference. I wonder if that is as apparent in person. We've got a whole two-face situation here. Not as bad as the burst gold top mixture that you can check out in this Would You Rock or Not video. But then moving on to the face of the headstock, nothing too crazy here, no colored logos or anything like that. And surprisingly, the back and sides are natural. And it should have an ebony fretboard, being a modern day Les Paul custom. And here's a good look at that. The wood grain back here, it's nice, but it kind of looks like it's giving you the middle finger. It's either that or it's a flame. I just wish there was a little bit more going on the back of this one. That would make it a must-have. I mean, this is nice, but it's just okay. But man, what a cool guitar. If you're interested in adding this one to your collection, though, it's going to be about $8,300 to have it shipped to you. It's located in Canada, so if you're in Canada, you're not going to have to pay import duties and taxes. Well, at least not the traditional kind if you were to purchase it from USA. So, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Let me know down in the comment section which was your favorite instrument this evening, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.